talk about guilty until proven innocent. I'm just saying, like, isn't it supposed to be innocent until proven guilty? But in the Black Clover world, at the very least, and not that far from our own, to be honest with you, especially if you're counting in the court of public opinion, then definitely, you know what I'm saying? It looks like Asta and NERO are screwed in a way because, yeah, the Magic Council and the Magic Congress is really sticking it to them after they just freaking saved the world. Like, yo, shit like this, I'm fired up right now, I ain't gonna lie. I'm very hype after what I read. Like, yo, let's talk about it. Whether Facebook, Twitter, or the two, make sure to steer clear, cause I'm coming through like... Okay, so quickly we start off with a beautiful cover page of NERO. Loved it, honestly. It's like, alright, we got the Bay on the cover, you know what I'm saying? Pretty freaking awesome, 500-year-old Bay, but nevertheless, we got the Bay, you know? And this chapter takes place a few days after the big battle that we just had, after all the revelations of Julius and everything, so, time skip, which is interesting because My Hero Academia did like a week after the events. This one did a few days after, so yeah, nice little trivia, I guess, but also it makes sense because they got to regroup, get everyone together, and come up with an idea and a plan of what they're going to do moving forward, at the very least in the legal department. And so they bring in Asta to the Clover Kingdom's courthouse to allegedly testify. Like, honestly, it's really spooky how, because you got to think for a second, this is written from the point of view of a man in Japan or whatever, and I don't know how the law is over there, so maybe it's similar to over here, but, very, very eerie how it feels like a lot of the stuff you'll see in the real world, because they bring Asta and NERO again, supposedly just supposed to testify, but upon entry in there, they're handcuffed, and I'm like, yo, first of all, take the handcuffs off my boy, and take the handcuffs off the Bay. Like, what are you doing, yo? That already got me, like, heated. I'm there like, yo, you kidding me right now? Y'all just bamboozled them? Like, yo, you just come in, don't worry, we're gonna talk. Everything's gonna be okay. We're just gonna talk, and then wham! I'm like, what are you doing right now? Yo, Tabata, he must have been through some legal shit in his life where he's seen a lot of stuff because, yeah, real eerie. And I guess Asta was right to feel nervous about testifying and everything, because you got to think about it. You're supposed to come into this room right now and convince a lot of people that, hey, you know, elves and devils were a part of all this. Like, how the hell do you explain that? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, hey, there's these magical beings. I mean, I guess you could argue, like, yo, just take a look at everything that happened. And, you know, the chapter, one of the things that I was screaming, to be honest with you, and we'll get more into it later, but where is everyone else at? Okay, it was only Asta and NERO that were brought in, you know, called in to come and testify and talk about things, supposedly testify, but in reality, it's a trial immediately upon entry. But why isn't the House of Vermilion, the House of Silver, you know, even Yami coming in, which again, we'll talk about it in a bit. Like, I'm just saying, where is everyone at? The only one you could argue is Julius. They're not going to really listen to him anymore. He's a little kid now. They're not going to take much creed or take heed into anything he says, because they're like, yo, you a little kid, get out of here. You ain't useful to us anymore. So I understand that aspect why Julius couldn't really help, but where's everyone else at? But we'll get more into that in a little bit. And we got Damnatio, which at first I thought he was about to be like some really epic and cool dude. I don't know about that anymore. Basically playing judge and jury to this whole thing, while we got the crowd, which again, it just feels like, you know how it's supposed to be a jury of your own peers, except none of them are Asta's peers. From upon immediately him coming in, Damnatio starts talking down on him. You're from that low-class, garbage-ass village, you know, Hodges, yeah, y'all peasants. Like, it's really, really prejudice in there. There's a lot of, like, just discrimination, and I'm just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is so unfair. At the same time, it also shows that despite maybe he may have changed the opinion of some people, you know what I'm saying, it's still a long road ahead, because just because maybe the House of Silver have slightly changed, you know, Nozel kind of looked a little bit different at things, seeing his sister grow into a fine warrior and stuff like that, that don't mean that everybody else is, especially the king that is an absolute imbecile, and a lot of these royals that they still are living in this world of like, y'all peasants, y'all ain't as good as us. So you're not going to be able to change everyone immediately, which shows that we still got a long way to go in order to change the kingdom into a place where everyone understands each other. There's no more segregation, there's no more discrimination, none of that stuff. There's still ways to go, and this proves it. Like, the way everybody in that courtroom is looking at Asta just because he's from a small village in the boonies, it's like, whoa, what are you doing? And then them going even in on NERO, like, yo, there's no records of her being born anywhere here, and she got them horns, so she was using forbidden magic. You clearly see that unless this is some trick, because one of my theories here is maybe there's a possibility that this is all a trick in a sense to see where Asta's heart is at, because you got to think about it. If they're looking at him like, yo, you're a devil, right? Because basically that's what they're accusing. They're like, there is no devil. There was none of this. What are you talking about? You're the devil, and you're the devil. You got horns, and you're from the Black Bulls, and basically from what we understand, y'all the people that are responsible for this, not no devil. And it's kind of like, wow, so because I can't show you this devil, which at the end of the day, looking at it from both sides, it's like, while on one side, Damnatio, it just looks like, to be honest with you, he just straight up wants to screw them over. Like, because he kind of maybe has a little bit more of an understanding of things or whatever, based on how he was whispering to Asta some shit or whatever. But it looks like this is just like, hey, there's no way for you guys to win this right now. Because obviously, if you already defeated this person and he's been dispersed of, you can't prove that there's a devil or that there was a devil. So how do you prove anything? It's really freaking crazy that he's being set up really badly. And I'm like, it's actually pissing me off. Especially when Damnatio says there's only two outcomes from this trial. Either Asta is judged as a devil, or the Magic Knights will shoulder the dishonor of this crime. And he knows that Asta ain't gonna just be like, yeah, screw them. So basically he's like, instead of getting to the truth of it, instead of everybody banding together and trying to understand what's really going on here and trying to, protect the kingdom at all costs, nah, we're gonna just scapegoat these two, especially Asta in particular. And I'm like, I was hype about Damnatio last chapter at the end. I was like, maybe he's just going to, question and get to the bottom of things. But no, he looks like, again, it's just really, really freaking eerie. I don't know. Like, this chapter actually had me in my feels a little bit, but not in the sad way, in terms of like, what are you doing, bro? Like, so you clearly just want to pin Asta. He's kind of like a crooked prosecutor in a way, like, well, prosecutors in general, but he's a crooked prosecutor in a sense, where he's like, okay, I'm going to judge you in terms of like, you're going in regardless, bro. You're not gonna throw, I already seen, because those scales that he uses seemingly gives him a little bit more info than, the norm. Like, he sees, okay, you're a naive person, you're gonna shoulder this shit regardless. So it's like, he just wants to screw him over, again, seemingly. And it's like, so if these scales can tell you things, why don't they tell you that, hey, he's not a bad guy, and hey, she's not a bad person? But then again, they're not listening, because the chapter also shows that it's seemingly that the prejudice is a lot stronger and the discrimination is a lot stronger than I even imagined. The fact that they're not listening to anything Asta's saying, even though he's saying, hey, there was elves, hey, they were being controlled, hey, it's not our fault. And they're like, nah, you're low class, you're a peasant, oh, what's those horns on her, yeah. Really, really messed up. And then, when the chapter really got real, and I'm like, yeah, when Gosha finds out what y'all doing right now, y'all gonna have a problem. Because they bring out Gosha's sister, Mari, and basically, they're judging her for what happened. You know how she was, similar to many other people, was possessed by the elves or whatnot. They bring her out and they put her in a circle and they're about to fry her up. And I'm like, the only thing I can think of is this is a trick to see where Asta's heart is really at. Like, if Damnatio really is not a prejudiced person, like maybe he's, aside from all the nobles that are just there like pieces of garbage and scum up there, and the king that is an absolute moron when he's like, yeah, I knew he was bad. Like, shut up, motherfucker. You put him a part of that royal group and everything because you believed in him. Stop your nonsense, okay? But maybe Damnatio is doing this all as a ruse to see and get to the bottom of, is Asta friend or foe? Because you got to think about it. If he's a good person, if he's hiding anything, he's not going to really care, because that's a little girl that's in trouble. So maybe Damnatio is using all of this as a tool, putting the little girl there, saying, yeah, she did all of these things. She's just jealous because she's a fallen noble right now. And it was to see if Asta's going to reveal who he really is and jump in the forefront to save her. Because I was just like, yo, what are they doing right now? Like, this is really corrupt. Like, you putting a little girl, not even listening to anything she has to say. And it's like, unless the Clover Kingdom is really that screwed up, which you got to think about it. Would Julius have really want to be a part of something this bad? A part of, you know what I mean? Like, leading a group that will fry up a little girl just because, like, hey, she was possessed by certain aspects. You're gonna like, I don't know, to be honest with you. Unless Damnatio is actually using that as a tool to find out who Asta really is, in terms of like, would he save this little girl and risk showing that he's a devil? Then the Clover Kingdom is really just absolutely corrupt and garbage, and then maybe they need a fall. Maybe there needs to be destruction, because if they're willing to kill a little innocent girl because of a misunderstanding and not listening to anything that's being said, then I don't even know. But the other thing could very well be a setup of like, yo, the House of Silver needs to show up, or the house, like, you know, Nozel, or all the Magic Knight captains. Like, the captain of the Golden Dawn can show up and say, yo, it was me that was responsible all along for a lot of these things. Like, there's so many things that need to be done. In fact, they need to be judged. I'm just saying, hold up. If anything, why is it William Vengeance up here? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's William Vengeance at? He should be on the stand right now for treason against the kingdom. So, you gotta think, would Julius allow William Vengeance to get off the hook and say, don't worry, you know, your punishment will be that the people are gonna resent you, but allow Asta to go to court and potentially get jailed or killed this chapter was frustrating, and frustrating in a good way, in terms of, you can see that the Magic Congress, at the very least, this Damnatio guy, he's either playing a really good poker face and he's hiding that he's really just trying to test Asta, or there's a lot of corruption, and again, maybe the Diamond Kingdom need to come in here and screw up a couple things. Maybe the Nation of Spade or the Nation of Hearts, somebody got to come in here, because this is just wrong. It's just flat out wrong. And then the last part of the chapter, Damnatio says, we will never see eye to eye with the likes of a devil like you. And I'm just like, bro, I don't know what's going on right now. This shit is crazy, but there has to be something more to it, because first of all, the chapter was like real straight to the point. Like, hey, they get to court. Hey, they're guilty before innocent, cuffed already. Like, it just seemed a little bit odd. Now, again, there's a couple possibilities. It could be that, hey, there's just too much prejudice at the top of this organization, at the top of Congress and the government and politics or whatever, that there's no way around it. Like, how is Asta even going to get out of this situation without being, like, basically a criminal in the Clover Kingdom? They're going to need somebody, whether it's all the Magic Knight captains got to show up. Obviously, Julius, they're not going to listen to him, or something like that, because it just doesn't make much sense unless Asta is going to be forced out of the kingdom, which that would be freaking insane. Like, they force him to leave the kingdom. At best, he gets banished. If this is actually legit and they're really trying to move this way, they might just banish him. They might, if it's not that they're tricking him to find out who he really is or whatnot, they could just banish him and say, yo, you gotta go. And then incoming a travel to the Nation of Spade. Maybe he might go over there to get some answers, something like that. Or again, it could be a trick, because it's like, the Clover Kingdom is really messed up if they're willing to kill a little girl because of a misunderstanding. I'm just saying. Kind of curious what a lot of you guys thought about this chapter, though. For starters, how did you feel about the way things were handled in the courtroom, so to speak? It's freaking crazy. It's like Ace Attorney meets Black Clover. But do you think that it's a trick? Do you think that it was simply Damnatio trying to figure out what's going on with Asta? What secret powers does he have? The black power, things like that? Do you think that is just straight up discrimination and hatred? Do you think he was playing it up? Like, if Damnatio's good, if Damnatio is good at his job, shall I say, and these balance beams really show him something and teach him something, he should know better than that these two aren't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, kind of curious what you guys think about that, or do you think in the next chapter the Magic Knights is going to show up? I mean, the House of Vermilion, the House of Silver alone should be able, because they're nobles, they're royals, they should be able to come in and say, yo, he saved us. What are you doing? Likewise with the 500-year-old bird lady over there. They saved us, fam. Chill out. Also, was you just on edge? Like, I'm not gonna lie, when they brought out Mari, I'm like, yo, stop it. Yo, this is too crazy right now. Black Clover, really freaking insane. Again, it was on my nerves a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, just because I'm like, they get there, they get arrested, they get discriminated against, they talk crap about them, and then on top of that, they're about to kill Maru, and then forcing Asta to show his demon side. I'm like, what the and your overall thoughts and expectations for the future of Black Clover, chapter 218 and beyond. Like, I ain't gonna lie, this chapter, it's getting crazy. We're getting into a little bit of a political move here, but it's not getting boring and anything. I mean, Yuki Tabata made sure, even when things is like, okay, it's getting into explanations and foreshadowing and things like that, and setup and maybe a little characterization for Damnatio and things of that nature, he's still keeping it epic and hype. Like, the very end when Asta goes into his demon form to save Mari is like, we ain't slowing down, baby. But we do need things like this from time to time. That's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell and make sure you hit it to get all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in. By the way, I'm just saying, I don't know what's going on with this Magic Congress right now, but the corruption, bro. The corruption, discrimination, prejudice. It's insane. Enjoy the next ride, but I was the best ride. But I